Alright everyone, Cowboy Trades here, welcome back to the channel for a quick update on Kadena. So 42 days ago, I told you over on my YouTube that Kadena is setting up for another 42 days worth of pain. We made this video when Kadena was all the way up at 86 cent and now it is down at 52 cent. In that video, I said that based on previous fractals that we've looked at on this channel, on average, Kadena is likely to bleed out for another 42 days. Now, that 42 days has come to a conclusion as of today. It's been exactly 42 days. So do I now think that Kadena is setting up for a big rally to the upside? Well, let's find out in the charts. First of all, I want to look at what's happening in the higher time frames. I just really want to quickly update that once again, we are still sitting right at this big volume cluster support at 50 cent. This is a target we've been looking at on this channel for quite some time now, and we are finally sitting on this level. In terms of what's happening outside of the Kadena charts as well, it is important to note that the total altcoin market has just closed 2 weekly candles underneath this downtrending line of resistance, which has been in play throughout the entire bear market. We had 1 weekly candle close underneath this commencing the week on the 5th of June. We then proceeded to have a new weekly candle. We bounced back up to the trend line, flipped it as resistance, and confirmed within the past 12 to 24 hours, wherever you are in the world. It doesn't really matter where you are because on all of the time frames in the world, we have closed underneath this downtrending line of resistance, and we've opened this new week for the altcoin market sitting right at this critical area of resistance. Now, while Bitcoin is seeing a very, very small bounce of 1.7% today, Bitcoin did close a weekly candle underneath the 200-week moving average. So in general, the markets are looking a little bit shaky on that front. And also Bitcoin is steadily approaching a critical area of resistance around about the 27,300 region. So it's not looking too hot for altcoins. What does this mean for Kadena specifically? Well, first of all, let's look at our first chart. This is an absolute amalgamation of oscillators, so do bear with me for a second. What we talked about 42 days ago was this stochastic RSI fractal. Let's get rid of everything else until then so people can actually see what is happening right now. So as you can see, what we've done with these vertical orange rays on the chart is we've highlighted what happens when the stochastic RSI comes down to round about this 5 line. Now, what I highlighted in the 42 days worth of pain video was the fact that, it took approximately 42 days for bottoms to develop in the market after we did come down to this critical level on the stochastic RSI. However, in these previous examples that I've given you on these stochastic RSI fractals, you can see there was some general momentum that was showed in the form of strength in this market. If we are looking at the stochastic RSI down at these levels, you can see they didn't remain stagnant. They tried to bounce up. They did have some small bounces in the lower time frames, which kept the stochastic RSI having a small pulse at the time. What is happening right now for KDA? You can see the stochastic RSI is almost without pulse. It is completely flatlined, and this has only happened one other time right down here. And as you can see, for quite some time, while this was absolutely flatlined, we were in a absolutely brutal period of a downtrend for Kadena. Now, of course, after the end of this period, we went on a beautiful bull run. Market scenarios were a little bit different then. We had more liquidity, the rest of the markets were in a bull run, and personally, I don't think we're in that same situation. What I do want to highlight right now is things are looking a little bit shaky right now, and with Kadena sitting on this crucial support at 50 cent, this absolutely needs to hold if you want to see a bounce. Now, if we load up a couple of other oscillators over on the chart, you can also see the money flow index. This is coming pretty much right down to 20 right now. This is typically an area that you do see bounces in the market. If we come over to the MACD, you can actually see since the first time since Kadena was all the way up here at $12.80, the MACD has flipped bearish, and for the past 2 weeks or so, you can really see how that has affected the market. We have been bleeding out to the downside, and if we also load up the squeeze momentum indicator, you can clearly see on the weekly time frame momentum is building up in favor of the bears. So we are bleeding down right now. And just before we focus on what is happening in the lower time frames, I also want to highlight one more fractal. Within this chart here, you can see these red boxes represent previous bear market lows. Right here, bear market lows were established. They were established here. They were established here. They were established here. And of course, we're in a breakdown right now, more or less in price discovery in terms of the bear market to the downside. Now, Of course, we've got previous data traded at lower levels on some exchanges. When I say price discovery to the downside, I just mean in terms of this bear market, to keep things very nice and simple. Now, if we're looking at this chart, you can see bear market lows. What happened once you broke beneath them? 49% drops in the market. What happened once you broke beneath those lows? 69.5% drops in the market. What happened once you broke beneath that next bear market low? 41.5% drops in the market. We are currently in a 32.7% correction at this moment in time. Now, if we do bottom round about this 50 cent, this would technically be the least brutal drawdown in Kadena's price history after breaking beneath the bear market lows. So at least in terms of that front, on these averages, it's looking like we've got further room to move to the downside. Now, here's where things get pretty shaky. Let's come over to our next chart. Now, of course, on the weekly time frame, our videos used to be a lot longer for Kadena. We were in the higher time frames making divergences, we were making bear flags, we were making, head and shoulders price targets, we were making lots of intricate technical analysis patterns, and this is where things get a little bit tricky. If we come over to the daily time frame, it's very hard, or at least you're very much stretching if you're looking for technical analysis patterns within this downtrend. You can more or less just see, if we come over to the Heikenashis, this is the daily time frame. This is absolutely brutal. We are not really having any bounces. We're not having enough consolidation to really start forming any more bearish patterns at this moment in time. We are more or less just in an absolute landslide to the downside. So here's the main takeaway of today's video. You can more or less see what is happening right now in Kadena is we just keep on breaking back down, finding new bear market lows very temporarily, and then breaking down further, making bear flags and falling to the downside of them. You can see since we've been in this downtrend, I'm not going to draw out all of these price targets for these. This is kind of just a very easy way to show you how I'm looking at the market. It's not drawn 100% perfectly. I'm not trying to, draw these out like some beautiful technical analysis. I'm really just showing you the ebbs and flows of the market. We are melting to the downside, consolidating for not even 24 hours or so, breaking down, forming new bear flags, breaking down, forming new bear flags, breaking down, forming new bear flags, and within the past 12 to 24 hours, we've broken to the downside of yet another bear flag. Now, while we made new bear market lows back on Thursday of last week, we are making new bear market lows on different charts. If we come over to Kadena BTC, you can see this week is breaking down. Bitcoin is showing a tiny bit of strength in the lower time frames, and Kadena, unlike a few other altcoins, does not really seem to care. If we come over to KDA BTC, over on the daily time frame today, we have made new bear market lows. So all in all, right now, like I said, I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to make this a 20-minute long video looking at tons of different charts and technical analysis in the lower time frames. What's happening in the macro time frame is still the same. What's happening in the lower time frames, bear in mind this is the 4-hour. We are just bleeding out, finding small consolidation zones, forming bear flags, bearish pennants, whatever you think they look like at this moment in time. A lot of them look very M-y. You can see we have these M patterns, we have these M patterns, we have these M patterns, we have this M-ish price action into an M pattern breakdown, and right now we are at a neckline of an M pattern. We're at a retest of the 4-hour EMA ribbons, and it looks like we are pretty much retesting the breakdown of this bear flag. So that's what I'm seeing. Like I said, I don't want to waste your time. On the daily time frame, we are just absolutely bleeding out. On the Heikenashis, there's not really any consolidation which is happening right now, which is letting me know that we are coming right down to this price target that we've been talking about on the channel, 50 cent. We are pretty much right here, right now. But in the macro, why this is so worrying is the next cluster of volume to the downside, the next cluster of support isn't going to be found until 32 to 33 cent. If we clear up this chart, you can see this is the next area of support, and there's a tiny bit of support with lots of volume traded at the top of this cluster. You can see, basically anything other than this to the upside, this was a straight line up, a straight line down, this was a straight line up. There's not really much, areas of interest right here. Now, there were some touch points here, there were some touch points here, but other than this, you can see it was a very clear downtrend with no support and resistance built up between the regions of 30 cent all the way up to 50 cent. So once again, if we do break down to the downside of 50 cent, there's nothing holding us up until the next volume cluster down at 32 cent. In terms of the Fibonacci's, these are long gone in the macro time frame. There's really not much I can do right now other than warn you of the likelihood of us breaking beneath the downside of 50 cents. Now do bear in mind, we're currently not trading this market. We quite recently closed out our KDA short in 300% profit. Am I telling you just because I'm bearish, this is an amazing opportunity to short? No, the opportunity to short was when we were shorting all the way up at $1.12, and we took profit in the last week on that trade in 300% profit. Now is not the time to short. Once again, I'm trying to play both sides of these markets right now because I do want to highlight, once the stochastic RSI starts to turn up on the weekly time frame, once it gives me a sign that KDA USD is ready for a short-term rally, I will probably pivot into a short-term bullish stance on these markets. But everything else is just letting me know that we might continue back down to the downside further. You can actually see the stochastic RSI right now on the daily time frame is kind of weakening. It's kind of bending over a tiny bit, just like it did back over here. And when this previously happened, we had further room to move to the downside. So really, 50 cent is kind of the last line in the sand for Kadena. If we do not manage to hold 50 cent, we are going to continue bleeding out to the downside. And if we do not hold 50 cent, then that is pretty much going to be it, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to be moving all the way down to 30 cent. Like I said, I'm trying to play both sides of these markets. Right now, I am on the sidelines. I would personally much rather see Kadena lose this 50 cent region so I can start DCAing down here at 32 cent. Once again, like I've said in the previous video, nothing's written in stone. I haven't 100% decided wherever I'm going to DCA at this level. It's kind of just an open idea, which I am considering right now. But obviously, I'm trying to buy as cheap as possible and sell as high as possible. When the price rallies to the upside, we short from positions of strength. I'm not out here like the rest of these cryptocurrency YouTubers telling you to DCA these altcoins at $20, $15, $10, $5, $3, $2. And then when it comes down to 50 cent and these other price targets, they're still telling you to DCA, but no one's got any money left because everyone's been DCAing for the past 2 years. That's a bad idea. I'm trying to keep it very real with you here. I'm trying to buy low and I'm trying to sell high. I am not a altcoin maxi. I'm not one of these people that says, you know, altcoins have incredible utility. You should buy them and hold them for the rest of your life. No. These people who are telling you DCA, 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 they just want the price to go up so they can sell on you. I'm just telling you factually how it is. I'm trying to buy low, I'm trying to sell high on these altcoins and pivot from different altcoins cycle to cycle. That's the best way to navigate these. And with that, we obviously want to buy as cheap as possible and sell as high as possible. Kadena, it's not going to be something I'm hodling forever. This is something that we're trying to make money on. Of course, that's the aim of the game with crypto. And once again, right now, like I said, trying to play both sides. If Kadena does break down to the downside of 50 cent, we could potentially set up some buy orders for a short-term bullish position down here at 32 cent. If the markets bounce, great. We got closed out of our short in 300% profit. We're waiting for that next bounce to short from a position of strength. We can play both sides of the markets right now on the sidelines. That's really what I'm trying to let you know. So once again, 50 cent, keep your eyes on it. If we hold it as support, if in the next couple of days, in the next week or so, you know, we start having a strong bounce contrary to my analysis, then we may pivot into a short-term bullish position. If we do break down to the downside of 50 cent, of course, I think we move lower and then we can consider some short-term bullish positions. So for today, my friends, that's all I've got. We are sitting on the last volume cluster of support. If you've been watching the channel, you remember this chart used to be a lot more crowded. We had price targets all throughout this range. We hit, you know, bear flag price targets, we hit head and shoulders price targets, we hit volume profile price targets. We've wiped them all out. We've hit M pattern price targets. The only thing right now between us and 32 cent is this final line of support down here at 50 cent. So keep your eyes on it, ladies and gentlemen. For today, that's all I've got. If you do enjoy the content, make sure to let me know down below by leaving a like and a comment. Share the videos with your friends. If you want to further support the channel, feel free to click the join button on YouTube and become a member today. Make sure to follow me over on Twitter at 618_cowboy. It's been your boy Cowboy Trades. I'm out, my friends. Peace.